I'm one of the early founders of Snowline Hospice back in the late 70s, early 80s. Now at that time, the medical profession had made great strides in keeping people alive. But dying and death were deeply in the closet. During all of my medical training, I never received any education on that subject. In fact, a doctor was taught that when a patient died in some way, it was a failure. And often as people were in the process of dying, the family and the patient would be told, there's nothing we can do. And the patient would be sent to a back ward or sent home to a frightened family that didn't know what to do. So one day, this wonderful breath of fresh air came across my desk, an article by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross about death and dying. She was a British physician who saw the process of dying as much like a journey a pilgrim would be taking in the Middle Ages, when they needed to stop for comfort and care, and sometimes even when they were dying at places that were called hospices. I was really excited about this and discussed it with a friend of mine, Jim Upshaw, who is the pastor at the Federated Church, and we agreed that we could do something like this in Placerville. So we put an article in the paper advertising a meeting, and I was amazed at how many people attended and were interested in this concept of dealing with death and dying because it had touched them often, frequently themselves. So we formed our little office, which was in an apple box that we put our files in, and we called ourselves Snowline Hospice. And finally we were ready to see our first patient, a gentleman who was dying of cancer, and he wanted to be at home when this happened. So our staff went out, they gave him comfort care, they educated him and his family and helped him through his process of dying. And when it was all over, we went back and we sat around our apple box and we talked about how it went. It went well.
Referral office, Kate speaking.
Hi, I'm calling to make a referral to Snowline.
Okay, and what's the patient's name? And we'll have a nurse out there today. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Hi, are you Jenna Caputo?
I am.
I'm Sherry with Snowline Hospice, and I'm here to see your dad, Tony. I'm an admissions nurse for hospice, and what my role is to initially meet with patients and families, and what I do is explain to them all about our services and our team, what we do and how we help. We have a new patient. His name is Tony Caputo. He's a 61-year-old male with the terminal diagnosis of end-stage cardiac disease.
Spiritual care.
The patient is Roman Catholic. Arrangements will be made for communion weekly, and they have a relative who is a priest.
He's divorced, has one daughter. Her name is Jenna. She is in the home taking care of him, showing significant signs of stress as his care needs have increased.
Jerry is the volunteer that's visiting with Tony weekly, providing respite care for his daughter, Jenna.
Okay, Tony is my patient. I see this patient 3 times a week. He's a sponge bath or shower.
And so we have a team of nurse, medical director, CNAs, social workers, spiritual care providers that just cocoon you and wrap our arms around you and the family to kind of help you through this rough time. And our main goal is comfort and to keep you as healthy as possible as long as possible.
I became a hospice volunteer because I had Snowline Hospice for my mother. She passed 10 years ago, and they were very helpful for me to take care of her when I needed them. As a hospice volunteer, I give patients a break for their family to go and do errands. I also sit with patients as they pass. I take them outside for a walk, or I sit and read the Bible to them, or just sit and listen to music. Whatever their needs are, I try to meet them.
Here at Snowline Hospice, we believe that grief is a normal and natural reaction to losing someone you love. And so for our families, it doesn't end when the patient dies. We want to be there for them. And so we offer at least 13 months of grief support to anyone who would like it. And that can be in the way of mailed material and education about grief. It can be in the way of ongoing phone calls. Many people would like an office visit one-on-one. And then we have a variety of groups that people take part in for adults, for children, and for teens. And we offer many of these same services to people in our community. I know with Tony, it was very comforting for him to know that we were going to come alongside and support Jenna in her grief after Tony died.
Snowline Hospice is starting a new service line called the Snowline Supportive Care, and we're very excited about this. This is for patients who are not quite ready for hospice services but have a serious illness. We're looking at supporting them, offering them some nursing services, as well as support for their patient and families to navigate this medical system prior to hospice services.
The thrift stores receive nearly 14,000 drop-off donations a year.
Okay, is this it?
That's all. Thank you very much.
Hey, would you like a receipt today?
No, thank you.
All right.
An impressive 423,070 customers purchased needed items from our stores in 2013.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Rios, Community Outreach Coordinator for Snowline Hospice. I love shopping at thrift stores. I bought this for work. I find things for work all the time. Ooh, a shirt. This will go great with this black skirt. I'll be wearing this tomorrow. And I love fun things too. These pajamas are going to be perfect this winter.
Hi, how are you today? Those look nice and warm. Thank you for supporting Snowline Hospice.
Thank you.
Have a great afternoon.
All of this activity generates the funds to cover all people in need of hospice services, regardless of their ability to pay.
Here at the Reuse and Processing Center, we take community donations which may not sell in our thrift stores and sort them for resale to maximize their value. These funds all go towards Snowline's patient care costs. The items have been handled at the thrift store and been determined to not be items our community shoppers would purchase. We move them to wrap, bundle them into resellable, separate commodities like plastic, shoes, clothes, books, e-waste, wire, steel, copper, to name a few. We then contract with third-party vendors whom buy them in bulk by the pound. We are maximizing the donations for Snowline, and we serve as a community partner, diverting 8 million pounds per year from our landfills.
Well, when I was asked to join the board, I was very pleased to be asked, first of all, because going through the experience with my mom and seeing what hospice did for our family, it was important for me to give back. And now being president of the board, I'm just honored to work with the board that we have in place now, and with the staff and members of our organization, from the visiting nurses to our office staff to our retail staff. These folks are all committed to a worthwhile and wonderful mission, and I couldn't be more pleased, again, with the dedication of everyone seeking out and fulfilling our mission at hospice.